Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Walton again. I'm going to read chapter 8 to you right now of Hachiko Waits. I hope you're all doing well and being your best. And so it went, day after day after day. Hachi waited at the train station in the spring when the cherry blossoms bloomed, and in the summer when the rains came. Yes, typhoon season. He waited in the autumn when the leaves changed color, and in the winter when the snow fell. Day after day after Hachi arrived at the train station just before 3 o'clock to meet the professor. Day after day after day he was disappointed, but he never gave up hope. Mr. Yoshikawa did not know where Hachi went. When he looked up the station when he locked up the station at midnight, he did not know where Hachi slept. He did not know where Hachi spent the morning and the early part of the afternoon. But he did know where Hachi would be every day just before 3 o'clock, sitting on the platform, waiting for his master. But instead of the professor, now it was Yasuo who stepped off the train. Yasuo had turned 10 on his last birthday, and now he was old enough to travel back and forth to school by himself. "Hello, Hachi," Yasuo called to the dog sitting on the platform. Hachi looked at Yasuo for a brief second, thumped his tail against the ground twice, then turned his attention back to the crowd of people getting off the train. "I will be there in a minute with your food," Yasuo said, going into the station master's office to fill Hachi's bowl. He placed it in front of the dog and stroked the fur between his ears while he ate. A small woman with thin gray hair pulled back in a bun came to stand next to Yasuo. "Is this the dog I have heard about who waits for his master?" she asked. "Yes, this is Hachi," Yasuo answered. The woman studied him for a few minutes. "May I pet him?" she asked. "Yes, he will not hurt you. He is very gentle." Yasuo said the same words to the woman the professor had said to him on the day they had met years before. "I'm sorry for your sadness, Hachi," the woman said as she stroked his neck. Hachi turned to her for a moment, and his ears slid back at the softness of her voice. She gently rubbed the white patch of fur between Hachi's eyes as he looked at her. Then a train approached the platform, and Hachi returned his gaze to the railroad tracks. As the train discharged its passengers, Hachi sat up straight and turned his head to the right, to the left, and to the right again, looking at all the people who passed him. A man who wore a pair of black frame glasses and a business suit and was about Professor Ueno's height walked towards Hachi. The dog sat up even taller and began to tremble all over, his nose sniffing the air. But the man hurried past, and Hachi realizing that the man was a stranger, stilled himself and continued his search for the professor. "That man looked like Hachi's master," Yasuo explained to the old woman who was watching the dog intently. "Sorry." The woman reached out to stroke Hachi's fur again. "Hachi, you are a very good dog," she said to him, "and your master was a very good man." Yasuo picked up Hachi's bowl and looked at the woman. "Did you know Professor Ueno?" he asked. "No," the woman answered, "but it is clear to me that he was a fine man." That's why Hachi continued to probably wait for him, huh? little bit more. That's why Hachi continues to hope and to wait. He remembers the kindness of his master. One day, a man in a dark gray suit and a hat, whom Yasuo had never seen before, came to the train station. He stood next to Hachi, watching him as several trains arrived, discharged their passengers, and departed. The man studied the way Hachi sat, looking up at him and every face that passed him, and how his own face was filled with longing. He took photographs of Hachi with an expensive-looking camera. Then the man asked Yasuo many questions about the dog and wrote everything down in a little notebook. The next day, when Yasuo arrived at the train station, Mr. Yoshikawa handed him a newspaper. "Look, here's a picture of our Hachi," he said, pointing to a page. "Hachiko waits." Yasuo read the headline out loud. Then he read the caption underneath Hachi's photo. "Chuken Hachiko sits at Shibuya Station waiting for his master. I think he has earned the official name of Hachiko," said the station master. "After all, he is our beloved Hachi, and he deserves a name of respect." "I will tell him," Yasuo said as he crossed the platform. "Look, here's your photo, Hachiko." Yasuo emphasized the term of honor and affection the newspaper had added to the end of Hachi's name. Hachi wagged his tail at the sound of Yasuo's voice and turned to smell the newspaper he held, but found it of little interest. As always, his main concern was the people on the platform who had just come off a train. "And here is your new name." Yasuo held the paper out again. "Chuken Hachiko, the faithful dog. Hachiko, you are a celebrity now. Hachiko." From that day on, people from all over Japan came to see Chuken Hachiko, the famous dog who sat in Shibuya Station waiting for his master. Many people had fallen on hard times and drew strength from meeting him. If Hachi does not give up hope, if Hachiko does not give up hope, we will not give up hope, they said to one another. Many people stroked Hachiko's fur, believing that touching him would bring them good fortune. Those who could gave the station master money so that the Akita-kin would not go hungry. Everyone who met Hachiko was moved by his loyalty and devotion. I'm wondering about the petting of Hachiko, if that's still part of the statue. If you pet the statue, if you get good luck. Years passed, and the station master and Yasuo were as devoted to Hachiko as he was to his master. Now that they had extra money to care for him, they were able to buy Hachiko treats from the food vendors outside the train station. And dogs love treats. Yasuo wandered up and down in front of the food stalls, deciding what to buy. Would Hachiko like a bowl of udon? No, the noodles might be too slippery for him. What about a serving of oden? Tofu, eggs, fish, and vegetables cooked in a broth. Tasted delicious, maybe. We all know what Hachiko wants, though, don't we? There it is. Oh, it tasted good to Yasuo, but he did not think the dog would like it. He stopped in front of the yakitori stand. Yaki means barbecued and tori is chicken. And ordered a skewer of grilled chicken. Hachiko leaped up and wagged his tail when he saw what Yasuo had brought him. Wait a minute, Hachiko. Yasuo laughed, holding the food up out of the dog's reach. Let me take the chicken off the skewer and put it in your bowl. But Hachiko did not want to wait. He jumped up and knocked the skewer out of Yasuo's hand. Then he stretched out on the platform, held the stick between his front paws, and pulled off the pieces of chicken by himself. How clever you are, Yasuo said. I had never seen a dog do that. Yasuo went downstairs to buy another serving of yakitori and asked the vendor to follow him back to the train station. He called the station master over to watch Hachiko eat. Look how smart he is, Yasuo. Yasuo pointed at Hachiko, pulling the chicken off the skewer. Yes, he is very bright, Mr. Yoshikawa agreed. And he had an excellent teacher, the station master reminded Yasuo. He may have a skewer of yakitori whenever he wants one, the food vendor said. You do not have to pay me for it. It is my pleasure. We watched Hachiko eat for another minute, then bowed goodbye and returned to his stand. Another day, when Yasuo was a teenager, he and some classmates got off the train at Shibuya Station. Yasuo, come play baseball with us, one of the boys said. I cannot, Yasuo said. I have a responsibility. He gestured toward Hachiko sitting on the platform. The station master was standing nearby. Go with them, Mr. Yoshikawa said. I will take care of Hachiko today. Come with us, Yasuo, his friends called again. We are going to the park. Yasuo looked at his classmates. Then he looked at Hachiko. The dog's brown eyes were so full of hope and so full of sadness. How could he desert him? I will meet you there later, he told his friends, after I feed Hachiko. Yasuo and the station master walked over to the golden brown Akita. Mr. Yoshikawa reached down to pat the dog's head. You are very good to him, he said to Yasuo. Someday he will reward you. Yasuo had laughed. How could Hachiko reward him? You will see, Mr. Yoshikawa, said Mr. Yoshikawa. I do not know how, and I don't know when, but I know it will happen. I have a strong feeling about it here. He pointed to his stomach. Hachiko is a very loyal dog. You have treated him well, and I would be surprised if such a good deed went unrewarded. Time passed, and Yasuo continued to help the station master take care of Hachiko. They gave him fresh food and water every day. They cleaned and brushed his fur, and most important, they made sure that everyone who touched him treated him with kindness. Mr. Yoshikawa and Yasuo used some of the money people had given them to build a shelter for Hachiko behind the train station. Sometimes he slept in it, and sometimes he did not. Sometimes he arrived at the station, wet from the rain or with bits of snow clinging to his fur. One day he sat perfectly still as a small earthquake rattled Shibuya Station. You guys know what earthquakes are, don't you? Day after day, month after month, year after year, Hachi sat on the platform waiting. It seemed that nothing would ever stop him from meeting the 3 o'clock train. Now, boys and girls, thank you for listening. Remember to write down in your reading response paper, and always communicate with your teacher, that's me, in Google Classroom under the stream. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a really good day. I miss you all. Bye.